Good morning to all, and may I, on behalf of the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee, warmly welcome all officials present at this time from the Ministry of Finance, Investments Division, Office of the Prime Minister, and of course, officials from the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, UDeCOTT. My name is Wade Mark, and I'm the chairman of the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee. Let me indicate from the very outset to allow everyone to be comfortable what we do. Our committee, known as the Committee on Public Accounts Enterprises, has a mandate constitutionally to consider and report to the House of Representatives on the following: the audited accounts, balance sheets, and other financial statements of all enterprises that are owned or controlled by or on behalf of the state. We are also mandated through the Auditor General reports to examine balance sheets and other financial statements coming from that department. And we are also charged with the responsibility of determining whether policy is being carried out effectively, efficiently, and economically, and whether expenditure conforms to the authority which governs it. Now, the purpose of our meeting this morning of the Public Accounts is to conduct an examination of the audited accounts, balance sheet, and other financial statements of the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, UDeCOTT, for the financial years 2016 to 2018, and follow up on the implementation of the recommendations in the committee's first report of the 12th Parliament. Our committee is desirous of hearing from you, particularly UDeCOTT, the challenges faced by the key stakeholders at the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, in an attempt to determine some of the possible solutions to these challenges, which of course you will share with us. Now, our role is to help, may I emphasize, our role as a committee is to help UDeCOTT improve its delivery of services. May I emphasize this so that everyone in this room would understand what our role is to help improve UDeCOTT's delivery of services in an efficient, effective, and economical manner. The meeting that is taking place today is being held in public and is being broadcast live on Parliament's Channel 11 and Radio 105.5 FM and the Parliament's YouTube channel ParlView. Viewers and listeners can send their comments related to today's topic via our email, which is parl101@ttparliament.org, on our Facebook account, facebook.com/ttparliament, and on Twitter @ttparliament. These are all devices that you can use to link up with our proceedings. Now, at this point in time, I will ask members of our committee who are present with us to introduce themselves. Thereafter, I shall call on the other officials in the following order to introduce themselves. After our members, we go to the representatives of the Ministry of Finance, Investment Division, then to the Office of the Prime Minister, and finally to the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago. So I'll now invite our members to introduce themselves.
Hi, good morning. Rushton Parry, Vice Chairman of this committee.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal, Member.
Ministry of Finance.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Durham Kisoon, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Mohammed, Director, Agro-Based Manufacturing and Services Sector, Investments Division, Ministry of Finance.
Good morning, everyone. Ryan Maharaj, Senior Business Analyst, Investments Division, Ministry of Finance.
Office of the Prime Minister.
Good morning. Maurice Sweet, Permanent Secretary to the Prime Minister, Office of the Prime Minister.
UDeCOTT.
Good morning. Noel Garcia, Chairman of UDeCOTT.
Other members of UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Burton Andrew Hinkson, Divisional Manager for Finance, CEO, Acting.
Good morning, Jacqueline Gantoum Farrell, Director, UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Kristen Tahal, Legal Officer, UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Jade Brown, Director, UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Kashka Andrews, Divisional Manager, Facilities, UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Sarah Schoon, Divisional Manager of Construction, UDeCOTT.
Good morning, Cavell Joseph Saint-Omer, Divisional Manager, Human Resources, UDeCOTT.
We have no one else from UDeCOTT, right? Thank you. Okay, at this time, may I invite the representative of the Ministry of Finance, Investment Division, to make a brief opening remark or statement, no more than a minute and a half. So can I ask the representative of the Ministry of Finance, Investment Division to proceed?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the committee, and ladies and gentlemen of the viewing audience. The Ministry of Finance, the Investments Division, acts on behalf of the Minister of Finance in his capacity as corporation sole and carries out the corporate function for state enterprises. This includes representation of the Minister at shareholders' meetings, incorporation of new state enterprises, and where necessary, divestment of state enterprises when it becomes feasible to do so. I thank the Chairman and the members for this hearing this morning, and we look forward to facilitating and responding to any of the queries that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I now invite the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister to make a brief opening statement. Mr. Sweet.
Good morning, Chair, other members. Well, I just want to, on behalf of the Office of the Prime Minister, thank you for the opportunity to appear before the committee. And we are here in whatever capacity we can to provide any assistance in the deliberations of UDeCOTT and its financial audited statements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sweet. And I'll invite either the Chairman of UDeCOTT and or the CEO. I leave that up to you all to determine, to make a few brief opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. UDeCOTT is pleased to be present here this morning to provide clarification and explanations as it relates to the accounts for 2016, 17, and 18. UDeCOTT's primary objective is to deliver projects that meet our clients' objectives using the highest quality project management and development services. Its critical focus over the last few years, that is 2016, 17, and 18, has been on social infrastructure projects, including hospitals, police stations, and fire stations. Within the broader context, however, UDeCOTT is responsible for the development of the urban renewal of the capital city, Port of Spain, into a business and financial sector, and San Fernando for positioning Trinidad and Tobago's energy capital. Finally, UDeCOTT has been tasked with developing 13 major urban centers as identified in the National Development Strategy 2016-2030. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Garcia, and welcome to all of the officials from UDeCOTT, the Office of the Prime Minister, and the Ministry of Finance Investments Division once again. May I begin by seeking some clarification? The first area I would like to clarify has to do with the status of outstanding financial statements. Now, based on the documentation that have been submitted, we have discerned a commitment by UDeCOTT through their external auditors to submit to the Ministry of Finance and through the Ministry of Finance to the House of Representatives outstanding financial statements for 2019 and 2020 respectively by May of 2023, and for 2021 and 2022 no later than December 31st, and I'm being generous here, I think it's before that, but I may be wrong. But by the end of December 2023, the financial audited accounts for 21 and 22. So the first area of clarification is what is the status of the May 2023 submission of audited financial accounts for 2019 and 2020. And after that, bring us up to speed with whether you all are on track to have those reports, audited financial reports, submitted for 2021, 2022 by December 31st. So I don't know, Mr. Garcia, who will take that round?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would take the first pass. Unfortunately, we did not keep the deadlines that you outlined, and one of the principal reasons is that we had a change in auditors. KPMG, who are auditors in 2016, voluntarily withdrew not only from UDeCOTT but from a number of state corporations as the auditor. So we had a change in auditors, and I think we went to PKF. So the new dates, and that created some challenges for the organization, and as a result, we were unable to keep those timelines. I'm advised that the new timelines are as follows. For the accounts of 2019, we are expected to deliver that sometime towards the end of November. For 2020, we are looking somewhere in January 2024. For 2021, we are looking at April 2024, and for 2022, we are looking at July 2024. That is on the basis that we don't run into any unforeseen circumstances, but we are committed to having our accounts up to date, and we, that is the board and the management, would do all in its power to ensure that UDeCOTT's accounts are up to date in this financial year.
Mr. Garcia, as you are on the floor, would you be kind enough to inform this committee any reasons were given to UDeCOTT for the voluntary withdrawal of your previous external auditors? Did they put it in writing as to why they chose to voluntarily sever relations with UDeCOTT? Was that provided in writing?
No.
So they just left?
No, they met with the management and the board because we had a number of challenges in terms of the completion of the audits. And the explanation they gave us is, one, they had challenges with staffing, and two, they were taking a different strategic direction in terms of their business model. We were not in a position to verify or to counter that argument, and as a result, we had to go out and look for new auditors.
Okay. Can you tell us these new dates that you have provided? 2019 by the end of November. 2020 by the end of January. 2021 by the end of April. 2022 by July, end of July 2024. Is that a commitment, or, as you said, we can have this thing not being met when those times have arrived? Challenges outlined by yourself.
As I said previously, the management and the board is committed, so I would take it as a commitment. But from time to time, there are challenges that arise that we had not catered for. But all things being equal, we anticipate that we will meet these dates.
Okay. Well, we look forward to receiving those financial audited accounts as stated. Let me seek some further clarification. Mr. Garcia, you would be familiar with the 31st of December 2018 PKF consolidated financial statements. Would you be?
Yes, Chairman.
I want you to go to the page entitled Independent Auditor's Report. And for purposes of our discussion, I would say this is page 2 of the report, just for discussions. I'm not seeing a number. And I also want you to join me on page 3 of this report.
I'm saying independent auditor's report should be page 14.
That is page 14?
It seems so to me. On your left, in the middle, you see 14, and on the next page on your right, you will see 15.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we can go with what you have.
Right.
That's no problem. Explain to this committee why would PKF put in its report a disclaimer of opinion and provide also the basis for the said disclaimer. Now, from my humble understanding, and you can guide me if you wish, my understanding of when you have a disclaimer, it could be for maybe 2, 3 reasons. One, the external auditors are requesting information, documentation from UDeCOTT which are not forthcoming. So they cannot conduct their affairs properly and cannot provide the company with an unqualified opinion. Or it could be that UDeCOTT is in such a chaotic state that it is unable to locate appropriate documents required and or requested by the external auditors to facilitate their work. Or maybe a combination of both, or there could be additional reasons that I have not identified. Now, I would like to get from your good self or from anyone you would like to assign the responsibility to explain to our committee what are the implications for UDeCOTT and for the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago, given such a statement in this report. Can anyone clarify for me what this means and what this entails?
Good morning. I'll see if I could add some insight into it. Yes, our opinion was the disclaimer, but they also stated the reasons why. In some summary, they highlighted the valuations of our properties and plant and equipment. They also highlighted our inability to state the reimbursable figure from VAT, and also they highlighted what we call contributed capital. If you will see throughout the 3-year period, 16, 17, and 18, those are the prevailing reasons why our opinion has remained as a disclaimer. Getting into it, we at UDeCOTT are of the opinion that these are fixable, and we have taken the steps to address it. Namely, one, the valuations. We have engaged the Ministry of Finance, the Valuation Division, to assist us in evaluating all of our assets and land. 2, we are in communications with VAT to be able to resolve what is the figure that we need to put into our financials. And 3, considering contributed capital, we are also liaising with the Ministry of Finance for us to do some sort of reconciliation so we can both agree and be happy with that figure that is stated in our financials. Those are the reasons why we've been given a disclaimer. The dollar value attached to each basically carries it into the billions. That is why the auditors are unable to give an opinion based on those 3 main reasons, and due to the quantum attached to each.
And how long has this been going on? This is the 2018 report. What was the situation like prior? Did you have a similar kind of circumstance, or were you on course in terms of addressing these matters, or did this suddenly arise, or is it something that has been recurring or occurring, or is it just a one-off experience?
No, these issues have always been there, and we have been working towards cleaning up our financials, as you will see from our previous submissions. The only change would have been the opinion. That changed in 16 to a disclaimer. The previous years, it was not a disclaimer.
But when you tell this committee this has been going on for some time now, why is UDeCOTT unable to address these issues? For example, based on Mr. Garcia's identification of numbers, I think it's on page 15 of his document, we have the failure, these are my words, of UDeCOTT to disclose to the external auditors construction in progress. Now, I don't understand. I'm a layman. You are an engineer, maybe, and Mr. Garcia might be an engineer. But I don't understand if I'm an external auditor and I'm auditing your accounts, you cannot provide me with disclosure of construction projects in progress. Why is that? What is causing? Is it that you have 1 million projects that is taking place and you are so confused that you cannot share that with the external auditor? Why it is something as basic and simple as disclosing to your external auditors the construction projects that is in progress for the particular financial year under consideration. In fact, I want to ask you, Mr. Garcia, and your CEO, can you identify for this committee how many projects, the names of the projects, the values of those projects that were in existence in the financial year of 2018? So give us an account, give us a detailed understanding. 1 project, 3 projects, 10 projects, the names of the projects and the values attached to those projects. Can we have that now from you for 2018, Mr. Garcia, or whoever you like to assign the responsibility to?
We can provide it, but we will have to provide that in writing. From my recollection, it would be approximately 141 projects. The values, the type of projects, we will provide that, and we can do that within a few days. But for me to be able to recite 141 projects.
Understood. But all I'm asking, Mr. Garcia, is what could have been responsible? Is it incompetence? Is it a lack of resources? What is causing UDeCOTT to be unable to provide your external auditors with an account? It's not like the external auditors before us today, and you have 2 hours to outline. I'm saying the Auditor General, the external auditor would be there for a period of time. So I'm just trying to ask you to explain to this committee what you consider to be the reasons, the factors driving this inability of UDeCOTT to provide these disclosures, and what can we do to help you? Remember, I made the point very early, and may I re-emphasize, this is not an inquisition. We are here to try to help UDeCOTT to become more efficient, more effective, more economical in the delivery of your services. That is what we are here about. So I would like you to share with us and this committee what were some of the factors that detained UDeCOTT from sharing and disclosing information to your external auditors as it relates to construction projects in progress. Mr. Garcia, anybody could help us on that?
Considering the construction schedule, this issue, as I said, was a long-standing one. We have to look at this in context. A lot of our projects span many festivals, so highlighting the government campus plaza, Chantry. A lot of these are long-standing projects that take 5, 6, 7, many years to produce. If I could take you back, if you remember to the Commission of Inquiry, and they had some issues where the documentation was taken from the corporate corporation. A lot of those documentation is what is needed to go in to provide these supports for the construction in progress. So while we have cleaned it up and we continue to make work, it is some of the long-standing projects that would have affected the schedule. And you would realize those are some of the larger ones. So for a period of time in the earlier years, we may not have been able to substantiate all of the paperwork the auditors would have requested. But in our latter projects, that is not the case.
Okay. So we could expect going forward in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, for example, a cleaner bill of health from your external auditors, because you would have learned lessons from the past, from the present period, so that as we head into the future, we do not expect UDeCOTT to come back to this committee with these disclaimers and qualifications. Can you give this committee the undertaking that you're going to put your house in order, clean up your act, so when you appear before our committee, the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee, in the not too distant future, you will have a cleaner bill of health, Mr. Garcia or your CEO?
I would take that. We are, and our state management and the board of UDeCOTT, working towards getting what we would term a clean bill of health from the auditors, no disclaimer. As the acting CEO and divisional manager of finance pointed out, there were 4 main reasons why we had a disclaimer. The first was the valuation of properties. UDeCOTT has properties, I think, in excess of what, 7 billion?
Yes, that's correct.
That are scattered throughout Trinidad. One of the problems we had was getting a valuator to do the valuation and the cost of that valuation, because the evaluators charge a percentage of the estimated value of the property. We think we have resolved that now by approaching the Ministry of Finance, Evaluation Division, to assist us. So we anticipate that that issue would, at least going forward, would become less and less an issue. And by 2021, 2022, we would have all of the UDeCOTT's properties valued by the Evaluation Division of the Ministry of Finance. The other big issue we had was the valuation of the value-added tax recoverable by UDeCOTT. We are working with the Ministry of Finance, the Board of Inland Revenue, to ascertain how much money the Inland Revenue owes UDeCOTT in respect of value-added tax. We are hopeful again going forward that that issue would be resolved. The other 2 issues, evaluation of the accounts payable and accruals, we are working on resolving that, and the ownership and disclosure of CPI and other property, plant and equipment, we are also working on resolving that. So it is our expectation that as we move forward, we will be reducing the areas that the auditors have concerns, and that somewhere between 2021 and 2022, we will get a clean audited statement without any disclaimer.
From my calculation, for close to 28 years, founded in 1995, we are in 2023. And you are saying, Mr. Garcia, in going forward, we intend to overcome these things. I wish UDeCOTT luck, but I want to tell UDeCOTT, this is not only luck, you know. Put your house in order. This is a warning. Put your house in order. I want to just deal with one other matter before I ask my other colleagues, and I want to welcome my colleague, the Honorable Laura Lizama. But before I turn you over to Mr. Rushton Parry, then Mrs. Sagram Singh Suklal, and then Laura Lizama, let me just ask another question. Two questions. Receivables. Receivables. Give this committee an understanding of the size of your receivables and over what period of time they have accumulated, and what steps, what action, what measures are being taken to reduce those receivables. And finally, how is this impacting on your stability as an organization going forward? So that's the first area I want to get some guidance on and clarification. Then I want to go to borrowings, which is the second one, but I wouldn't want to clutter what I have to say. So could we deal with receivables? Explain to this committee what is the size of your receivables. Has it been going up, going down, extending, expanding, growing? What are you doing to collect those outstanding receivables? Who are owing UDeCOTT these receivables? Who? You have to collect that from somebody. So we just want to get clarification from UDeCOTT so that this committee would be more apprised, so we will know how we can intervene to help you collect those outstanding receivables. Remember, our committee is here to help UDeCOTT to improve your delivery of services to the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So tell this committee, what is the state of play with those receivables? What is the size, value, and quantum? Who owe you? How much they owe you? And when you intend to collect them? And how we can help you achieve your objectives?
Through you, Chair. For the period of 16, 17, and 18, our receivables averaged about $1 billion.
Just repeat that for us.
For the period of 16, 17, and 18, our receivables averaged $1 billion TT. Since that date of 18, we have been making concerted efforts to work with the Ministry of Finance and also with our various client ministries. As you know, we work with basically every ministry that we have. We've made concerted efforts. We've had meetings with them, clarify any queries of the documentations, and we have brought that figure significantly down. As of the end of this current fiscal, that figure is on about roughly about half, 500 million. So we have made efforts to continually address and bring down the receivables by doing our part of meeting the clients, having that open discussion, and ensuring that the documentation is set in order to allow them to process and remit funds to us when available.
All right, Mr. CEO, that was up to 2018. $1 billion down to $500 million, 500 million.
Correct.
Can you tell us what has happened between 2019 to 2023? Has it been reduced or have you grown in terms of receivables?
Oh, sir. Just to clarify, that $500 million is as of the end of this current fiscal that just finished.
So could
So
you
it has come down.
clarify for this committee? Between 2016 to 2023, your total outstanding receivables tallied $1 billion. Am I right?
No, for some clarification, for 16, it was 1.043 billion. For 17, it was slightly over 700 million, and for 18, it was 1.1 billion.
Right. What it was for 19?
Unfortunately, for 19, 20, and 21, I don't have that information in front of me, but I can supply that to the committee.
And who are the people or organizations or entities that are delinquent in meeting their commitments to your services that you have put on? Because UDeCOTT borrows money, and that is another issue that is of concern to our committee. Borrowings, because I don't think UDeCOTT has the financial health and strength to pay back this money on their own. So UDeCOTT will have to explain to this committee, does UDeCOTT receive government support and guarantees for these humongous loans? And I'm saying this in the context of those delinquent entities that continue to owe you, UDeCOTT, hundreds of millions of dollars. So that is the issue. Who are these entities? Can you give us it briefly and then give us it in writing in a more comprehensive way? But the leading culprits, the leading delinquents in this outstanding scenario would be who, Mr. Garcia? Who would be the entities that are owing UDeCOTT $500 million as we speak?
Okay.
The leading ones. Don't give me all. Put the rest in writing. Just give us now the 3 leading delinquents.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would not use the word delinquent. What we have is a number of projects that are work in progress. So UDeCOTT is paid on the basis of work done, not work promised to be done. So we would have works in progress, and we would have to attribute the cost to the various ministries. As the acting CEO confirmed, we have worked both with the Ministry of Finance.
All right, Mr. Garcia, let me stop you. I want to get my colleagues' info. Could you put in writing for this committee the following? 1, all projects completed by UDeCOTT 100%. Have they been paid for by the respective ministries? Have they not been paid for? What percentage of payment have been received by UDeCOTT? 2, projects in progress. What percentage completed? What percentage paid? What percentage not paid? So we at this level will have an appreciation on an overarching basis. What is the state of play with outstanding monies owed to UDeCOTT? So put that in writing and submit it to us in the next few days. I'll pause at this time and invite Mr. Rushton Pare to be followed by Sagram Singh, Mrs. Sagram Singh Suklal, to be followed by Mrs. Laurel Lezama. And I'm coming back to UDeCOTT because I have several concerns. So, Mr. Rushton Pare.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning again to our guests. Mr. Garcia, I have 2 broad open questions to ask. Does UDeCOTT have a fully functioning project management office and a fully functioning accounting office staffed adequately with the persons of the competency level that is needed to run these two departments?
Say, divisional manager, human resources.
Good morning, Mr. Parry. To answer your question, yes, we do have a construction and engineering division and a finance division, and they're both staffed with qualified and competent employees.
So there's no shortage of manpower in either of these departments?
No, there isn't.
Does either of these two departments, or both of them, are they paper-driven organizations, or are they run electronically using modern-day accounting systems, software, project management tools, utilizing electronic systems, or is it a paper-based system in both of these organizations?
It's hybrid. We do have technology to support the work that we do in both areas. Specifically the question, of course, that you've asked. And naturally, because of the nature of our operations, we do have to maintain physical records for legal purposes and otherwise. So it's hybrid.
The reason why I'm asking is based on Mr. Garcia's response earlier on in UDeCOTT's inability to identify progress in terms of construction progress. Because that's the question Chairman asked. When the disclaimer, the reasons for the disclaimer by the accounting team, the accounting report, that they were not able to adequately identify works in progress, etc. That's my understanding. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm asking if these departments are properly tooled with adequate number of staff, with the requisite training and so on. And my understanding of these tools as well, because I mean, I use charts and so on every week in terms of projects. I can tell you in a moment's notice how far along any one project is, the resources that have been expended at any one point in time. So I find it a little hard to agree or to accept that, UDeCOTT would have been unable to present some of the data that was identified in the disclaimer, that they claimed that UDeCOTT was unable to provide, hence the disclaimer. Taking into consideration that we have these departments that are staffed, adequately staffed, have electronic systems, how could we end up there when you do have the tools, you do have the people, you do have the electronic systems? I'm trying to understand why would we still be in that position, unable to give the accounting firm updates on those things, taking into consideration that there is no resource and competencies in these two departments?
Let me take that. First of all, Mr. Parry, I think you misunderstood what I was saying in terms of work in progress. I never said that we could not identify the progress or what stage the project was. It was a financial explanation in terms of what the chairman termed delinquent ministries. We do have competent staff. I think we have the best project management staff in the construction industry in Trinidad, and I dare say in this part of the hemisphere. And our record in terms of delivery stands second to none. So I cleared that up. In terms of the disclaimer by the auditors in respect of projects under construction, the acting CEO explained that it was a matter of brought forward. In accounting, it is a question of the figures brought forward from one financial year to the other financial year. And because of the Commission of Inquiry, certain information that was required to verify those figures, in particular the government campus, was not available. And as a result, the auditors were unable to substantiate they carry forward figures. So it is not a question of incompetence on the part of what I would say one of the best project management departments in this hemisphere. It is an accounting issue and carried forward. Okay? So I hope that my explanation clears that up.
Thank you for clearing that, and at no time did I even mention the word incompetence of anyone, just to be clear. And I just wanted to be sure, because I have a fair enough understanding of how project management software operates, how accounting software operates. And I deal with banks, I deal with auditors, and if they want something as of yesterday, I press a button and I can get numbers. And I'm sure it's the same software that all of us are using. So this issue about carrying forward and brought forward and pelted forward, you know, I cannot accept, and I will not accept, that this data, if it is done, it is inputted correctly, in a timely fashion, that when any auditor, if my accountant calls me in the morning and says, look, we have an audit coming and I want a balance as of the 30th of October 2023, I go on the system and I punch in the report, the statement, and I put in the date from when to when. So perhaps you operate a little differently. This is why I'm saying that I find it hard to believe that UDeCOTT as an organization like yours, using tools, using systems with the appropriate people, would be unable to give data that is inside the system in a timely fashion. So for whatever it is, and just I will leave that there. So I have one or two questions that I just want to raise before my cycle of time finishes. And one of it has to deal with under your the 2018 audited financial statements under investment properties. We spoke about the challenges of valuations, the fact that there is a cost to go with valuations, and there would have been some pushback from what I gather in terms of the cost, because I know there's a percentage fee, as Mr. Garcia identified, and you have now hitched your wagons on the Ministry of Finance Investment Division to do the job. Outside of the issue of cost, if you had independent valuators doing the valuations, is there any other reason why, you know, you've now gone, or you're now depending on the Ministry of Finance Valuation Division to get those valuations up to speed? And is it up to date in terms of the valuation of your properties from the Ministry of Finance? Is that the status right now?
To answer your question, it is cost. That is the main reason why we've chosen to go with the Ministry of Finance. And concerning the progress, we are making progress. I know we are probably about 50 to 60% completed. So we are hoping to get all of those reports in before the end of the year, so we can then incorporate it into our financials.
What percentage of these properties valuations have been completed, if you could give us an idea?
Specifically, I know we've finished most of the land. So right now they are tackling land and buildings, which would be larger projects as in Chantry, the Government Campus Plaza, the waterfront. So those would be the heavier items they are currently engaged in. And
because it's Ministry of Finance, there will be no cost to UDeCOTT?
Correct.
Okay. Just a follow-up on the issue of inventory and land. There was a purchase of 476 acres of land at Las Cuevas Bay at some point in time. Can you identify when was this purchase made? Because I couldn't get it from the data that was before me. And who did UDeCOTT acquire this 476 acres of land at Las Cuevas? Who did you acquire it from?
If I may, through you, Chairman, In 1998, Cabinet had agreed to an exchange of lands between a company called Las Cuevas Resorts Limited, and they exchanged an equivalent parcel of land with that company. In 1999, Cabinet established Rincon Development Limited as a subsidiary of UDeCOTT that acquired the land from the state. There was no direct purchase of the parcel by UDeCOTT. It was an exchange. The state acquired it from this company. They exchanged the land and they vested the land in Rincon Development as a subsidiary of UDeCOTT. And that is the 475.67 rounded to 476 acres. And with that parcel, there were about 139 or so more squatters, and Rincon was charged with the regularization of those squatters by giving them 199-year leases. Rincon itself has the parcel under a 999-year lease.
What was the purpose for acquiring that property, in the long-term purpose, for that exchange and acquisition?
It was part of our North Coast development that the government was undertaking, and they wanted the land that Las Cuevas Resorts owned was on the south side of the North Coast Road, and they gave them state lands on the north side in exchange so that they could develop the north side as resort, as part of the North Coast development. Resort development is part of Trinidad and Tobago development plan at the time, and Rincon got the south part, and the squatters on both parcels, there were squatters on both the north and south. Rincon is charged with the regularization of those squatters by giving them 199-year leases.
But in terms of the development, what is the vision for that area? I mean, has anything been done in terms of the development, whether it's for our tourism product, whether it's for entertainment?
Well, that doesn't, sorry, Chair, Mr. Parry, that doesn't fall under UDeCOTT or Rincon, so that the details of what has happened to the north is not in our remit.
Okay, you
and
just acquired.
Yes, we acquired the south in exchange for the north. The north is where the private or whatever development is to take place. We are not concerned about that. We are concerned about the south and developing the south and regularizing the people who were there as at 1999.
Okay. Any valuations have been done on that entire estate so far recently?
Partially, what has happened is that in order to, I need to go back a bit. Of the 139 people who were squatting on the parcel at the time, they approached the Integrity Commission, and the Integrity Commission determined the rate at which the land should be sold to them or leased to them. And those rates varied from $1 per square foot to $4.50 per square foot. The Integrity Commission also verified and gave UDeCOTT, Rincon, a list of those persons to be regularized at those prices. The variation in price depended on how long they could have proven to the Integrity Commission that they were in occupation of the parcel. The rest of the lands are being surveyed as we speak, because of course we had to first of all survey the parcels to regularize the 139 people, and we are in the process of giving them leases. Some of them have paid and have gotten their leases. Some of them are on various stages of payment, and that process is ongoing with those 139 people. The rest of the land, UDeCOTT, Rincon has a mandate to develop, and in so doing, we have to survey, but the entirety of the 476 acres has been approved by Town and Country for residential stroke commercial uses, homesteads, farmsteads. There's an area of communal spaces, there's a large nature reserve, and there are 2 recreational areas.
Okay. Sure.
Ma'am, just trying to clarify in my own mind, the Integrity Commission, as I understand the Integrity Commission, they deal with submission of assets. We submit our assets and liabilities and income. I didn't know that they were involved in the valuation of land to determine if it's $1 per square foot. So could you explain to this committee how did the Integrity Commission, am I hearing right, or was that an error?
No, it's not an error. We met that. That happened in 1999.
Integrity Commission?
Yes, the squatters who were affected by the exchange of land appealed somehow to the Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission verified who were the persons to be given land at those rates. That is long before Rincon existed. I dare say UDeCOTT existed.
Is there a report on that?
I am not able to say, but it is contained in a cabinet decision.
Yeah, you have a copy of that note?
We can get it.
I am flabbergasted, but...
So are we.
Ministry, Office of the Prime Minister, you can clear? Or, well, I should ask the Ministry of Finance first. Ministry of Finance, Investments Division, can you clear the air for this committee on this matter of the Integrity Commission being approached and being involved and making determinations? I am still confused over that matter. Can anyone clear the air for us on that matter? Any member from the Ministry of Finance, Investments Division?
Chairman, that is something that we would have to research a little more to understand what was the basis of their involvement.
Okay.
I believe the note that Deputy Chairman is referring to may provide some clarity. Okay. But it is, on the surface of it, I'm not understanding the role at this point, but there may have been some explanation in the note that was proposed.
Okay. Right. Mr. Sweet, you can give us any guidance here? You are
sorry, Chair. My reaction was the same as yours, so I have a note here to follow up on it as well.
Okay. Well, we look forward to some clarification from the ministry, from the Urban Development Corporation, as well as the Office of the Prime Minister. Something should be submitted in writing to us, so we at our level can understand this matter. I don't want to leave it hanging. We need to get to the bottom of that and make so that we can be properly guided. I'm sorry about that intervention, Mr. Parrott. You can continue.
Sure. I just have two very quick questions before we move on to Senator Sagram Singh. The issue of value-added tax. Could you give us an indication of what, as of today, is the, or if there is value-added tax due or payable back to UDeCOTT in terms of your filings?
We are of the opinion that it is in a reimbursable position, and this is what we've been trying to clarify with the VAT offer.
You said trying to clarify, and it gives me great concern when we have to try and clarify these things, because, I mean, VAT calculations is a running figure, right? And it runs every 2 months. So, again, as I tell you, I could tell you how much VAT the state is owing me today, or how much I am owing the state today by the flip of a button. So, by not being able to tell me that today that the state is owing me $1 billion or $500 million in VAT returns, or if I am indebted to the state for VAT, then it worries me about the ability in terms of your ability to manage these numbers. What systems are in place to be monitoring these things? Because I'm sure like you, like me, I file every 2 months for my business. And as I say, it's a running. So on the Excel sheets I have these things running. I can tell you for the last 10 years, right? So again, if you could put in writing for us, get that figure in terms of what either you are owing the state or the state is owing you in terms of VAT. And if over probably the last, I know there has been some move by the state to pay VAT refunds via bonds and so on, if that is applicable to UDeCOTT as well, because then, when you have to get cash, your VAT returns really is your working capital. And if that is stuck in the treasury in the state, then you have less money to use in terms of your building out your capacity and so on. So that is something to be very interested to us to see where you're at on that. And the final question I have is on this item number 10 of restricted cash. And up to 2018, there was a figure of $52 million. And I think it's specifically dealing in terms of the notes here, in terms of the Hyatt. All right. The question that I want to ask, the note tells me here that, if I could just read what it says, restricted cash. This relates to hotel operations of the group and includes the cash account related to the fund for replacement of addition to fixtures, furniture, furnishing, equipment, and so on. So the question that I would have is, how does UDeCOTT ensure that the funds that are held in this restricted cash section are safeguarded against any possible misuse of financial management, because a substantial amount of cash that is sitting inside it. What does UDeCOTT do to protect that?
Outside of the monthly reports that we get, which that figure is monitored, to access the funds, they must be signed off by both parties, which is UDeCOTT and also by the management of the Hyatt team. No one person can access those funds. So there must be signed off before any transaction passes through it.
Now, and since this is dealing primarily with what I would probably determine as something called, the floating assets that can move quite easily, does UDeCOTT keep registers, asset registers, in terms of these items for these organizations? And if you do have these registers, is there a system by which you can track disposals and so on, and who is it sold to as you write them off or you dispose them? Is there records for those things or a system in place to do that?
Again, there are the monthly reports, but in case of the disposal, addition, or anything, Hyatt has again come to our board, which is the UDeCOTT board, and then a decision whether to be made. No party makes a unilateral decision concerning purchases or disposals.
And that system has been working fine in terms of guarding the funds inside that. Yes. Okay, thank you, and I'll pass on to Senator Sagram Singh.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Member. Well, again, good morning, everyone. A lot have been said and, questions put to the entire group relative to the financial statements. And I'm pleased to hear that, Chairman Garcia indicated that at least based on measures that have been put in place, UDeCOTT is hoping to have a clean bill of health, if I may quote the chairman, as it relates to your financial statements. Of course, that is in the interest of protecting the public's purse, transparency, accountability. So I'm pleased that at least internally measures are being put into place for that. But of course, this inquiry is a follow-up inquiry. And, based on financial, you already appeared before this committee for your financial statements 2014 to 2015. Based on that report and based on that inquiry, several recommendations were made. The line of questioning that I have for you would really be along the lines of, some of the recommendations that the committee would have made to you all on the previous occasion that you would have appeared. And I would be making a request for status updates on several recommendations that were made back then. But before I get into that line of questioning, at least just for the benefit of the listening and viewing public as well, when questions were put to you, to the entity relative to financial statements, you did mention the implication and the impact of previous or the lack of documentation for previous financial years, the negative impact that would have had on, being able to put your house in order or have that clean bill of health as it relates to your financial position. Now, Chair, remind me, you took chairmanship of UDeCOTT in 2015, correct?
That is correct.
And, based on at least my reading of the reports and recommendations and observations made on the last occasion that you all would have attended before you would have appeared before this committee, you would have to agree with me. So you took chairmanship in 2015. You would have to agree with me because I know a lot. So I believe that is what was being said this morning. There was a delay in the completion of audits for the period 2008 to 2013 due to the lack of documentation to support financial transactions associated with the relevant documents being provided to the UFF Commission of Inquiry and the Anti-Corruption Investigation Bureau for the years 2008 and 2010. So you would have to agree with me that would have been your scenario when you would have taken chairmanship in 2015.
Yes, I agree with you.
Chair, you would also have to agree with me that this delay would have caused a ripple effect on the completion of all future audit exercises, which UDeCOTT has made a conscious effort to try to rectify.
You are correct. When we came to office, we hired at that time the Ernst & Young, and they were assisting us. We had a number of recommendations which the board rejected, one of which was just to, because of the lack of documentation, just start all over again.
Right.
We said, no, we are committed to cleaning up the accounts and taking the time and effort to get our house in order. And I'm satisfied that since 2015 to now, that we have worked consistently, comprehensively, and we are getting there. And as I told the chairman, that we hope in this financial year, we would have up to 2022 ready, and that our expectation is that 2021 should come with a clean bill of health, and going forward, we would be consistent in having no disclaimers.
Right. And I guess it's because of that conscious effort made by UDeCOTT under your chairmanship. That's why the record will reflect that on the 13th of May 2016, the consolidated financial statements for the period ending 31st of December 2008 were approved and ratified at an annual general meeting, and it would have been in 2016 under your chairmanship.
Yes.
And therefore, you would also have to agree with me that because of the conscious and conscientious effort made under your chairmanship to clean up the audited financing and financial statements at UDeCOTT, that's why on the 9th of June 2019, UDeCOTT was able to present the consolidated financial statements to the period ending, and I have here the 31st of December 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, which were approved and ratified at your annual general meeting on June 9th, 2019, again under your chairmanship.
Yes.
And I had to place that on the record because, yes, I agree with our distinguished chairman that there is a lot to be desired as it relates to putting your house in order. But I must equally recognize that at least during your tenure as chairman, a lot of effort has been made, and the record reflects it as it relates to the timeliness during your tenure as chairman. Those statements being, or attempts being made to rectify the situation that you would have inherited in the entity. So that is the first place that I wanted to start, because as I said, this is a follow-up on what would have previously occurred, and that's as it relates to the financial statements. But of course, again, just to endorse what the Honourable Chairman would have stated, and Member Parry, we do hope that you all continue as you have been doing, and as the record reflects, based on your tenure as chairman, that you all continue to put that effort in the interest of course, protecting the public's purse, transparency and accountability, in ensuring that you have that clean bill of health. Your financial health is in order. So that is the questions relative to those financial statements. There were some projects, before I get into the recommendations, and a few questions relative to status updates on that. I noted for the period, so of course we fast track and we are dealing with the period 2016 to 2019. 2018, sorry, that's what this particular inquiry relates to. But however, I have a list of projects here that UDeCOTT would have embarked upon for the period 2016 to 2018. There were some projects, particularly that struck my interest under the Ministry of National Security. And the status of these projects that I'm particularly interested in is the ones that in this report that I have before me said that they were on hold. But I'm not sure. I know this is, as I said, this is the period 2016 to 2018. And I'm sure, perhaps, maybe it's just speculation, that a lot probably would have happened since then to now. But if I could probably just get brief updates on where these projects are. So, for example, the Parliament is testing our eyesight and my age showing. But there is a project that was on hold, the Aruka Fire Station. That was on hold. Is there, and that was a project that you all would have done during 2016 to 2019. Is there any status since then to now as it relates? Because of course it's a matter of national security, protection of our citizens. Is there any update on that project?
Hi, Sarah Schoon, Divisional Manager of Construction. That project is still on hold.
It's still on hold.
Yes.
Okay. There was a project that was on hold as it relates to the, well, I want to believe, I could remember that's completed, but just to the record, the Carenage police station, that was 92% completed, at least based on this record from 2016 to 19. That has been completed.
Yes, that's currently completed.
Correct. Well, I know that, yeah. There is also the Lady Hill San Fernando Fire Station, which was on hold.
That one is still on hold.
That one is still on hold. The Pinal Debe Fire Station, that was also a project that was on hold. Is there a status, a current status on that?
Just 1 minute.
If my memory serves me correct, I think that is completed and was open and occupied.
Okay. And then the last project that I just wanted, there's the Woodbrook Fire Station, which was also on hold. Since then to now, have there been any traction with respect to that?
No, the Woodbrook Fire Station is still on hold.
It's still on hold. Okay, well, I don't want to get too much into the reasons and all of that for these projects being on hold, but I just wanted a brief update on that. And now, Chair, of course, through you, I really just want to go back now to some recommendations that the committee would have made to you all on the last occasion that you all would have appeared, the entity would have appeared, and just to get some updates on that. Now, recommendation 2, page 1 of the submissions, it was stated that UDeCOTT should submit a status update on the company's appointment of a new external auditor and the time frame it expects its financial statements for the period ending 31st of December 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 to be completed. So that was a recommendation. I can't recall if Chairman would have asked that question, but UDeCOTT in its submission to recommendation 2 stated the financial statements to the period ending December 31st, 2019 is carded for finalization in May 2023. And Chair, I believe you would have mentioned that, Mr. Garcia. And financial statements to the period ending December 31st, 2020, is carded for finalization by September 2023. So my question is, can you kindly provide an update as it relates to the preparation and finalization of financial statements for the period ending 31st of December 2019 and 2020 respectively? I think you would have answered that already.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And for the records, we said November for 2019 and January for 2020.
Okay. Sorry for having you go back to that question. Recommendation 9. So there was a recommendation 9 that was made by the committee the last time that you appeared. It was stated that UDeCOTT should submit a status on the following. Its review of the implementation of a debt recovery policy to better aid the company in retrieving funds owed by state agencies. Its review of the implementation of a debt recovery policy. I know some questions were asked on that, to better aid the company in retrieving funds owed by state agencies, setting standards for the collection of all debts, and strengthening its internal processes to facilitate accurate reporting. So those were recommendation 9 made by the committee the last time you appeared. UDeCOTT in its submission to recommendation 9, and if I may quote from your submission, stated, the receivables management policy and procedures has received the approval of the Finance Steering Committee of the Board of Directors. It is expected, and this is on page 6 of your submission, if for ease of your reference. It is expected to be approved by the Board of Directors in an upcoming board meeting. The policy includes clear and specific steps as part of the strategy to reduce, settle the receivables, and to minimize the risk to UDeCOTT's liquidity. My question is, kindly provide an update with regard to the approval and implementation of the receivables management policy and procedure.
Yes, that policy was approved, and it is actually in action now. And as you said, as I mentioned in my previous answer, we decided to take a new approach to the ministries where we set up meetings. We have even through our project team, which is our first line, they meet. As for finance, we also liaise closely. We've built a better relationship
with the client. With
each one of our clients. We have, as I said, we have a person in each one of the ministries that we really liaise with. We send information, and we also used to only send information hard copy. We also now scan, and we send emails, so at least they get an update, because paper takes a while to travel.
Right.
So that is, we've built a relationship with them, and we've seen summary returns where queries are done, sometimes even before the original leaves. They will spot an issue, they will highlight, we'll be able to fix, address, and able to get the information out in a more timely and efficient manner.
So you have put systems in place
Yes.
coming out of recommendation 9 that was made to UDeCOTT. Recommendation 11 that was made, this is page 7 of your submission. The committee then would have recommended the creation of a lessons learned report on various categories of project management, service, scope creep, cost overruns, risk identification and mitigation, procurement, and other critical areas of operation. The report, and this is actually what the committee would have stated, and the report should document all critical issues encountered on projects, how they are handled, the outcomes of actions taken, and how similar issues could be managed on other projects. Now, at page 7, UDeCOTT in its submission to recommendation 11 stated, UDeCOTT has completed a draft policy procedure notice and lessons learned reporting template. The draft is under review by the construction subcommittee of the Board of Directors and would be submitted to an upcoming meeting of the Board of Directors for approval. UDeCOTT expects to roll out the lessons learned policy and its associated procedures and template during the second quarter of 2023. That's what you said in your submission. My question question is, was this policy and procedure ruled out during the second quarter of 2023, as you would have stated in your submissions?
Sarah Schoon, Divisional Manager of Construction. The policy was approved in September 2023, and we're actually ruling it out this month.
This month?
Yes, it's actually ruling out
okay.
this month, because we
Thank
finally
you.
finished the policy.
Thank you for that update. Chair, I could continue, right? On recommendation 30, now this is at page 8 again for ease of your for ease of reference. The committee then would have recommended UDeCOTT should ensure that project management team adopts earned value management techniques to assess project progress and completion to be able to carefully assess impact of changes in cost, scope and time due to the multiple reasons identified. Now in your submissions, in UDeCOTT submissions, to this recommendation 13, this is at page 8 of your submissions, this is what the entity would have stated. UDeCOTT is currently exploring mechanisms, avenues to integrate earned value management techniques into its current project reporting mechanisms. My question is, what avenues have been explored? Has UDeCOTT so far found a way to integrate this type of project performance marker?
We have been reviewing it as like a test on a couple of our projects. We have not reached a final decision, and our intention is to do a policy document similarly like we have done with the lessons learned, so that we can have a full company-wide policy with respect to how we measure the performance.
Because that was one of the questions,
yes.
Of course,
yes.
that member Parry was concerned about, rightfully so, being
Yeah.
able to mark.
Yeah,
all right.
So
I just want
that has to be created. Yeah.
Okay. And what mechanisms have UDeCOTT put in place to assess project performance in its current project reporting? So yes, we know this is what you're looking to for the future, but just to, confirm.
Currently, what we do is we measure it against the actual schedule and the cost expected expenditure for the period of the project.
Okay.
So right now we're measuring it against our expected schedule completions. So
Okay.
using the completion dates, and we use the actual expenditure.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, recommendation 14. This was made by the committee. It's page 8 of your submissions. UDeCOTT should go beyond the use of a findings log to develop a comprehensive risk identification mitigation plan and change management plan by project to allow for swift responses to changes in project scope and to avoid incidences of scope creep. Such plans must be continuously reviewed and updated to reflect dynamic changes in the project environment. That was a recommendation UDeCOTT in its submission. To this recommendation, which was at page 8, stated, templates for scope creep and risk identification and mitigation have been developed. Rollout will be undertaken upon completion of process for review and approval. The rollout is expected to be completed before the close of the second quarter, 2023. My question is, was the rollout completed before the close of second quarter, 2023? And if not, when was it completed? And then finally, if these templates have been rolled out, have they been in use up until now?
No, it did not. We did not meet that target. The templates are currently in draft. They'll be going to our construction committee, and then they will go to our board for the policy procedure, similarly to the lessons learned process.
Do you have a time
So
frame?
we're hoping by the end of the year, actually, to meet that deadline.
The
end of 2023 is our current deadline for that.
Okay. Chair, and those are some of the questions I had, for now, based on some of the recommendations that were made.
Thank you, Mrs. Lauren.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Good morning to all of the representatives from UDeCOTT and the various ministries. Let me begin by stating that I have a great appreciation for the work that UDeCOTT does and the service it provides to this country. And I want to thank you all very much for leading the developmental thrust over the past 2 odd decades or so. So thank you very much. I want to begin my questioning by just going back to something. Now, I joined in this meeting a little after opening statements were made, so I may have missed it, but I do need clarification before I proceed. Mr. Acting CEO, Mr. Hinkson, you stated that, and we're going back to the financials, the audited statements. You said that documentation was taken from earlier years. Can you please explain to me what you mean? Taken as in physically removed? Because you said they were then unable to substantiate all of the paperwork. So can you please expand on that for me?
Yes, correct. The documentation was physically removed from the corporation during those two exercises.
During what, sorry?
During the Officer Commission, and
During
there
the
was
Officer
another one, I can't remember that was mentioned before. But they were physically, the originals were taken from the organization.
And never returned?
Yes, so no, the originals were never returned.
Untraceable.
Correct.
And
So a decision had to be made considering going forward. And as I stated, that is what was used. That information is what auditors use to substantiate totals. Even though we would have a cost, they still want to see the actual physical in invoice. And in some of those cases, we aren't able to provide that. So that contributes to our decision of this disclaimer.
Of the disclaimer, okay. Because I noticed at a cursory glance of previous financials, in 2014 and 2015, your auditors provided qualified opinions, and then we got to 2016 and 2017, and now 2018, and they all have disclaimers of opinion. Can you tell me what has been the impact of this inability to have qualified opinions and these statements?
Well, luckily, because our client is the state, most of our work is mandated us, but it is our goal to be able to eventually go out and serve the public. Having a disclaimer, as most folks would know, it brings a question to your finances. The average man wouldn't really read past the term of a disclaimer to realize what exactly it is. So it does provide a negative stigma, but we actually believe that we are continually working, and we will get from below this by addressing the major items that we highlighted, which is our valuations, VAT, and the contributor capital. We will get from below this in a timely manner.
Okay, and I appreciate the comments made by the chairman in member Sagram Singh Suklal's line of questioning, where he stated that the decision to not terminate or not to start from scratch was one that was deliberately taken in order to keep the work of UDeCOTT going and to build or strengthen its brand and reputation. Yes? Okay, thank you. Now, and I appreciate as well that you have given a commitment to give us responses, to give us accounts rather for 2019, 2021, and 22 over a staggered period up until July 2024. So this committee looks forward to receiving that. I also had a supplemental question regarding the, and I do not wish to belabor the point, but regarding the Integrity Commission's involvement in the 1999 decision of the Cabinet to switch the land, the North-South land, with the Las Cuevas developers and now what is now Rincon. Would we be able to get sight of that document?
Thank you. Just for clarification, the Integrity Commission got involved because the squatters, because we now had a new landlord.
Yes.
They wanted to be sure that they would not be disadvantaged and penalized and charged the land at open market rates. So apparently, this is 1999, apparently some representation was made by the squatters to the Integrity Commission, who then conducted an exercise that tried to verify the length of time the various individuals were on either the parcel that was the state or the privately owned parcel, because all the squatters were now to be moved to the lands that now came onto Rincon. Cabinet took a decision to create Rincon Development Limited as a subsidiary of UDeCOTT to manage the estate. Cabinet did not take the decision to get the Integrity Commission involved.
Yes.
The squatters, from what we can discern, is who approached the Integrity Commission, I think through, it might have been Susu Lands, I'm not sure, but the squatters took the initiative to have the Integrity Commission protect them as a tool from now being charged, because the outside of the lands that were to be regularized by squatters, the rest of the lands are to be sold on the open market.
Yes.
So the squatters did not want to have to pay open market prices because they had been there for sometimes generations. So that is how the Integrity Commission got involved in determining the price at which those 139 approved squatters would benefit from the subsidized rates. And it also protected the state through Rincon from new persons claiming to have been there from back whenever to benefit from the low rate, so that the squatters engage the Integrity Commission as far as we can tell, because there's no clear documentation of this. And the Integrity Commission said, you have been there for 20 years or 40 years or whatever it is, you will pay $1 a square foot. You have been there more recently, you will pay $4.50, as the case may be. It was staggered.
And Rincon's rule?
Rincon's rule is to regularize and develop the estate.
Based on the findings of the Integrity Commission? Or did Rincon undertake its own investigation subsequently?
Upon acquisition of the parcel, 476 acres, Cabinet took a decision to swap the land between.
Yes.
Right. And put the land that would now be acquired by the state under Rincon, with a mandate to develop the estate and to regularize the squatters. In order to regularize the squatters, the parcels had to be lotified, surveyed, and priced for them to pay to get a long-term lease. The rest of the estate, because those squatters would only have, most of them were residential squatters, so they would not have taken up a lot of the 476. Yes. And then there was area, there was a nature reserve, there was a historical site, there's an old water wheel up there, there's the Rincon waterfall, and various areas. So that Rincon then went to Town and Country to have the areas demarcated for different uses, residential, homestead, farmstead, etc. Yes. So the role of Rincon Development Limited was to then survey the parcels, regularize those persons who were determined by the Integrity Commission to be on their approved list.
So stick a pin. So Rincon took the guidance of the Integrity Commission there.
Yes, for the prices.
Yes.
Rincon at that time in 1999 was not in a position or determined not to disregard the ruling of the Integrity Commission, and therefore decided to give the persons who were on the approved list the parcels they occupied at those prices. Other persons subsequently who were not on that list now have to pay the open market price. For the parcels. And it's a question of having the areas were surveyed, but not the entirety of the estate has been surveyed up to now.
Okay.
And so it's a work in progress going along in regularizing the persons and in selling parcels.
So people are still being regularized?
Yes, some of them are still being regularized because some of them have declared certain challenges with being able to pay even at $1 a square foot. And of course, some of them simply refuse to pay because they feel that because they had been there for a length of time, that they ought to not pay. But over the period that we have been in office, we have managed to reach quite a distance with a lot of them if not having paid off and received their leases, but in some progress to pay.
Okay.
And for that, we have established a payment schedule, which is supported by an affidavit, and in which they commit to pay a certain amount every month, as the case may be, and we follow up and ensure that those amounts are paid. And I must say that prior to this Rincon board, practically very little was done in terms of Cabinet's mandate from 1999, so that we started from 2015 to even create a staff for the estate to do this work.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm sure those affected are probably a little relieved to see that action is being taken to support them in their regularization process. So those were my back questions based on statements that I had heard earlier, and I simply want to refer to appendix number 2, which would have been Strat Plan 21 to 24. I know that there was a previous an accelerated Strat Plan that was submitted. And I just want us to go very quickly to the appendix 1 of that Strat Plan, which speaks to the timelines of certain strategic goals. And I've noticed that we are well past some of the dates for some of the timelines. So if we go to, for instance, page 22 of your Strat Plan, the first department, construction and engineering, and a number of things had been identified to take place between December 21 and February 2022. And I just wanted an update as to where we are in some of these things, please, because we have gone well past the timeline for the majority of the things in this Strat Plan, and being fully cognizant of the fact that this Strat Plan ends in is projected for the coverage up to 2024.
So with respect to the deliverables under construction, Sarah Schoon, Divisional Manager of Construction. So with respect to the deliverables under construction engineering, we have covered the lessons learned.
Mm-hmm.
So the lessons learned policy was approved in September at the Board of Directors, and it is being rolled out this month.
Yes.
With respect to the analysis of the cost structure and revenue streams, we had a little bit of delay on this item. I think we had covered it on the update with respect to the percentages of fees, and there were some challenges with respect to I guess getting all our stakeholders involved on the percentages with respect to our fees. Then we had a development of a template for the fees.
Sorry. Can you just say that last statement?
With
there
the
were challenges
with respect to getting all our stakeholders on board with respect to the 4.5. Our fee structure.
Okay.
Because our fee structure is considered by Cabinet with respect to the percentages of our fees. So it's just really to get the full buy-in of all our stakeholders with respect to any changes in fee structure.
And there are plans to get buy-in?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have the template for the feasibility study. Now this is in draft, and we hope to have something sent out or at least approved by the end of the year 2023. With respect to the stakeholder consultation, this is ongoing, because that's increased stakeholder consultation to ensure active communication. This is something that we're constantly ongoing, and it will be something we continue to do throughout the life of all our projects.
Okay, thank you. And if we just move down to finance, which is page 23 of the implementation schedule, and under finance you have the billing structure, the analysis of each project, which is scheduled for 23, develop a debt recovery policy. Is that completed? Yes. Excellent.
Yes, that was done, and we're at the stage now where we're reaching out to our clients to familiarize them with some of the terms and get some buy-in as well.
Is there anything under the finance that you're not satisfied with in where you have reached in your work versus what was projected in your strat plan?
Well, I think the obvious one would be the financials. They are, we have slipped, but I know it's something that cannot be rushed, and we understand the gravity of what having accurate financials means to the state and to the population, so we will continue to put that at the forefront. The rest of the stuff, the billing structures and something, those are things we are consistently working on, and we are making ground on. So I would probably say the financials is the one area where we wish we were keeping to the timeline, but unfortunately, that isn't always in our direct control.
Okay. And my final question to you is that this plan goes to 2024. Naturally, it can be negligible and expanded, but do you have plans to develop a new plan going forward, or to build upon this one for a further period beyond 24?
I'll ask the DMHR to address this question.
Cavell Joseph Saint-Omer, Ms. Lizamo. In response to your question, we are in fact preparing to have the initial stages of developing our strategic direction for the period 2024 and beyond, and that will commence in the first quarter of 2024.
Okay, thank you. And you're going to, anything that's outstanding from here, you're going to take and roll over into the new plan and take it forward?
That's the intention, similar to the approach that we took when we developed this one. We examined the accelerated plan before working on this current document that you're perusing at the moment.
Lovely. Thank you very kindly, Mr. Chair. That's it for me for my first rounds. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Okay, thank you very much, members. Somebody's phone is on? Can I ask members to keep their phone on silent, please? Okay, may I continue by asking for clarification again? Mr. Garcia, in the consolidated statement of the company's financial position, I guess it's on page 5 of my document, under the item assets, I saw an item called deferred tax liability. Is UDeCOTT given preferential treatment in owing taxes to the state? What does that mean? That you are owing and you cannot pay, and there is some agreement that you would pay later on? I'm not too clear on this item titled deferred tax liability. Can I see clarification here?
Hi, through you, Chair. First, I have to say all of our taxes are done by Ernst & Young, so I can get a detailed answer. But to answer your question, no, we do not have a preferential agreement. As you could see, for some of our financials, we have made losses, and whenever, as you would know, whenever a loss is made, those you don't have to, there are no taxes on losses. So we are allowed to roll those losses forward in case we are ever in a profit-making position.
Okay, so in 2018, you recorded a loss of how many millions?
For the period of 2018, our total comprehensive income was, I think, 7.1 million. This was a profit. That's yes. In 2018, on our console, there was a profit.
Right. And what is the current between 2019, 2022 thus far? Has UDeCOTT made a profit during that period at all, between let's say 19 to 2022, or is it a constant set of losses?
Well, those periods have not been audited as yet. So.
All right, cool. All right, thank you. Listen, I just want to get some further clarification on your borrowings. May I ask, I think this is under what is called your notes to the consolidated financial statements, under financial risk management, liquidity risk. I have seen where, as at the 31st of December 2017, carrying amount as are $7.6 billion. Contractual cash flow, 9.1 billion. And then you have less 2.1 billion. And more than 1 year, but less than 5 years, you have 5.179 billion. And more than 5 years, you have $1.8 billion. Mr. Garcia, could you tell us what is the reality as it relates to UDeCOTT borrowings as we speak, or as at the end of 2022, as far as you are aware?
Mr. Chairman, I will ask the Divisional Manager of Finance.
As of the end of October, that figure for loans outstanding is approximately 9 billion.
And the 9 billion would be broken down. How many entities would be involved here as it relates to loans amounting to 9 billion? 10, 15, 20? And then maybe you can outline to us in writing the entities involved and the values associated.
Sure, that will come in writing, but just to address your question, all of our loans, bar probably one, is tied to a project. For instance, so they are all project loans and they are all paid. Those project loans are financed directly by either the Ministry of Finance or by the client itself.
So all of these borrowings are state or government guaranteed?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I also wanted to get the issue of the 4.5 management fees. I know that there has been a struggle over the years involving UDeCOTT trying to improve their profitability. And the 4.5%, as I recalled, you all were trying to increase that beyond 4.5 so that you all could, as I said, become more profitable. Can you give us a status report on that endeavor?
Mr. Chairman, we at UDeCOTT do not set our fees. We will suggest fees, but invariably the cabinet sets the fee on a project-by-project basis. So what we are doing is meeting with the stakeholders, showing them what is the cost to UDeCOTT to undertake their project, and trying to negotiate a fee that is commensurate with the effort and the returns, because a 4.5% fee on $1 billion project may make sense, but a 4.5 fee on a $5 million project represents a loss to UDeCOTT. So we are working with the various ministries. We will be approaching the line ministry to assist us in that endeavor to adjust and correct the fee structure so that UDeCOTT's financial position would improve. I cannot anticipate the cabinet. What we will do is to put forward and argue our case as professionally as possible and hope that we persuade the cabinet by the arguments we put forward. Our expectation is that, given the relationship that we have with the various client ministries and our performance in terms of delivery, that would be sufficient to persuade the ministries and the cabinet of the arguments that we put forward in terms of increasing our fees for some projects. We are not asking for a blanket increase because, as I explained earlier, a 4.5% fee on a hospital project or the San Fernando waterfront may make sense, but a 4.5 on a $5 or $3 million project does not make sense given the time and the effort that is required. But as I said, we will put forward our arguments, we would lobby our client ministries, and we will lobby our line ministry, and hopefully the cabinet will be persuaded to adjust the fee structure.
Okay. I have a series of projects for the period 2016 to 2018-19, I think, involving UDeCOTT. Some of them would have been completed, I believe, and some of them might still be in progress. When I look at the list before me, the parliament where we are in is among the list of projects. Now I know that where we are, we know that the parliament has been completed. But Mr. Garcia, I wanted to ask you, in terms of this project, do you believe that the experiences that we are having at the parliament, where whenever it rains, you have to find buckets to catch water that is leaking from different parts of the building. Do you get the impression that the $441 million that would have been spent on this project, do you think that, for instance, that in itself is a minor distraction? Or do you think that, for instance, contractors that were involved here might have been a bit, they had given UDeCOTT and the parliament by extension, we didn't get value for our dollar? How would you respond to that?
Mr. Chairman, let me start by saying that we are extremely proud of the work that we did on the parliament. I think it was a significant achievement. This board did what no other board could have done in the past 17 years. I am satisfied that we got value for money. I'm satisfied that the question of the leaks have been resolved. We have a team that monitors the leaks. Some of the leaks were not caused by the roof, but the leaks, for instance, in the North Chamber, was caused by condensation. There was a defect in terms of the ducting that has been corrected. We are confident that we have overcome the leak problem, but it is an old building that was refurbished, and problems will arise from time to time. If you live in a house, you know that in our house you have to change the bulbs, you have to correct the plumbing, because a house, like a building, at times could be equated to a living organism, that you have ups and downs. But I would say that the public of Trinidad and Tobago got value for money, that the Red House and the restoration of the parliament was a significant achievement done by nationals of Trinidad and Tobago, done by over 24 small and medium-sized contractors, done within budget and within time. A significant achievement that you, the parliamentarians, the people and the staff of UDeCOTT should feel very proud of.
You caught my attention immediately when you talk about nationals. You said nationals were involved in this? Tell this parliament and this committee what percentage of foreigners were involved in the construction process, because I recall seeing a lot of Spanish nationals or Venezuelans operating on this project. So when you say nationals were involved in this exercise, you're talking about on an overwhelming basis, or you would say that there was a certain percentage, a mixture? How would you characterize that?
As far as I'm aware, all 24 companies are Trinidad registered companies. As far as I'm aware, the owners of those companies are nationals of Trinidad and Tobago. Who they hire, we as a policy in UDeCOTT do not get involved in the contractual arrangements of our contractors, because that has certain legal implications for us. So, as far as I am aware, all of the companies that did the work on the Red House are locally registered companies, owned and managed by locals who are, as far as I am aware, are national of Trinidad and Tobago. If they employed Venezuelans, I don't know. We insisted that our companies follow the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, and as far as we're aware, we had absolutely no problems with OSHA, with the factory inspectorate, with immigration, or customs, or the Ministry of National Security. So I cannot respond to that question about Venezuelans.
Is involved, Mr. Gaza, in the project?
There were 24.
24 contractors and companies.
It's 24 contractors.
Contractors, okay. I'm sure you won't have any objection to providing us with a listing of those 24 contractors and or companies.
In fact, Mr. Chairman, we had published the names in an advertisement in the newspapers, so we will resubmit that information to the committee.
And the last area on this listing I have here, I wanted you to clarify for me. Can you give us a status report? I would imagine this matter is in a state of progress. The Port of Spain Hospital. Can you give this committee a status report on that? And is this is in progress, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Port of Spain project is known as the Central Block. We are on stream to complete that project by March of 2025, the first quarter of 2025. And when I say complete, I mean complete the physical building, outfit the building, train the staff in terms of the equipment, test and commission. To date, I think last month, we had the topping off ceremony, which marked the completion of the building, the core of the building. That was done by a local contractor called Universal Construction. They had some minor challenges because it was an extremely complex piece of construction, but UDeCOTT, in its quest to develop the local construction industry, took the opportunity to give Universal the opportunity to undertake the project, and I must say that they overcame the challenges and they successfully completed the core of the building that was stopped off. The phase 2 of that is being undertaken now, and we hope that that will be completed sometime September of next year. And we have completed the tendering exercise for the outfitting, that is medical equipment, the ICT, and the furniture, which we are in the process of drafting a note to the Cabinet for the award of those contracts. With the equipment, I think all of the proponents were local companies. With the furniture, again, local companies, and the ICT, a local company. It's a foreign company. So the project is on stream to be completed, commissioned, and put into use by March 2025, with construction works to be completed September 2024.
And Mr. Garcia, would you say that as it relates to the budget, as you said earlier, for the Red House came in within budget. For this Port of Spain Hospital, would you anticipate a similar kind of development, or are we going to experience a cost overrun in terms of this project?
So far we are within budget. We have gone out to tender for the medical equipment. We are, as I said, we are in the process of doing the notes to Cabinet for the approval. So to date, we are within budget. I cannot predict what the future would hold.
What's the budget like, may I ask?
What was the budget? 1.2 billion? 1.2 billion.
And how many, finally, because I'll put something in writing, right, because I want us to close off, but as it relates to that project in progress, would you indicate to us in writing the process? Because my understanding, there was a Chinese company involved, they disappeared. Then there are 5 local companies involved. I don't know if they are there or they have disappeared. Then my understanding is that another Chinese company is about to enter, called China Railway Company. I'm not too sure. I'm hearing these things, and I thought as you are here, you might be able to clear my mind.
Well, I can clear it now.
Yes.
And the word that the original contract was awarded to Shanghai. When COVID came, they experienced a number of issues, and as a result, we had a mutual termination of the contract. We then approached the Cabinet, and it was agreed that we will break the project up into a number of packages to give the local construction industry the opportunity to participate in the project. To date, we awarded and completed one aspect of that package, which is package number 1, which was awarded to Universal for the structural works. We awarded package 2 to China Railway for the finishing of the structure, and we are about to award, how many packages for them?
It's 7 altogether. We have best on, we design.
Let me defer to.
So the packages are package 1, which is the structural works, which is awarded to Universal. We have package 2, which is the design works, which is awarded currently to Beston. Then we have package 3, which is the builder's work, which is currently awarded to China Railway, and they have commenced works already and started works within the buildings. And then we have package 4, which is medical equipment. The medical equipment is separated into 12 packages, sub-packages, and those sub-packages are to allow for smaller packages to allow for local contractors to be able to bid on those jobs. Then we have package 5, which is immovable furniture, which has been already gone through its tender process. That's one full package. And we have the ICT, which is also through the tender process. So it has not been awarded as yet.
All right, Mr. Garcia and your team, there are many other questions that we want to raise, but time wouldn't permit us. So you can expect some further questions to the organization, and we'll get written answers. But before I begin to bring these proceedings to a close, I want to ask your good self and your CEO acting, what are some of the recommendations or proposals you would like to put forward to this committee to improve the efficiency, efficacy, economy as it relates to the delivery of services by UDeCOTT, so that UDeCOTT can continue to play its role as it has done, but in a more, as I said, efficient, effective, and economical manner since it was founded in 1995. Would you want to share with us your preliminary thoughts, and you can then commit to paper further recommendations for the improvement of the UDeCOTT operations? Mr. Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would want to ask that we be allowed to put those recommendations in writing. I would not like to make policy on the hoof, as they say. I would want to meet with the management plus the board, and I would say give us about 2 or 3 weeks, and we will come back with a comprehensive document. Because in my view, UDeCOTT as the leading implementation agency for the government of Trinidad and Tobago has a responsibility to improve the construction sector as a whole, and therefore I would want to have the input of the management, some of our stakeholders, that is the contractors, because it's a two-way, well, a number of streets is not a two-way street. We have the contractors, we have our client ministries, we have the end users, so we would want to give it some consideration rather than be at the spur of the moment just put forward recommendations. I would want to engage in some consultation and come back to this committee so that what we put forward can benefit the construction industry as a whole.
Well, as a committee and as the chairman of this committee, I look forward to receiving those suggestions, proposals, and recommendations soonest. So, on behalf of our committee, I would like to say in closing that we look forward to receiving those reports, the financial audited reports as outlined by your good self. And like all of us here, we look forward to a discontinuation of disclaimers, qualified audit opinions, external auditors' opinions, and we look forward to UDeCOTT addressing all those areas outlined in the 16th, 17th, and the 18th reports. So as we go forward to 2019 to 2022, we will see a cleaner bill of health from an auditing point of view coming forth, so that UDeCOTT could join other state entities in addressing these deficiencies identified, overcoming those challenges, and we helping UDeCOTT with your recommendations to make it a more efficient, effective, and economical entity in the coming period. So once again, we like to extend on behalf of our committee our sincerest thanks for your presence, and we look forward to receiving shortly, you said within 2 to 3 weeks, the sooner the better, because remember we have to generate a report to the House of Representatives, and time is of the essence in these matters. So I would urge you, as soon as is practically possible, to put your thoughts together and have these things submitted to the Secretariat. We look forward to receiving it. So thank you once again for being here, and this meeting is now suspended. Thank you very much.